Hi all, Solsty here. Just quickly wanted to run people through my new build, which I'm using for the Dark Fae 120 speed farm. So if you look at this build, it's really basic, really budget. Anyone can do it. So what we've got here is we've got a Deacon. So the AI is set up as follows. He's got 245 speed, 272 accuracy. That is slightly too small, the accuracy number. He needs to probably be around 350 to be ideally placing all of his CC all the time on the Dark Fae boss. But with this build, with these builds, there is not a problem with the Dark Fae taking a turn once you get through the initial. There is one white mechanic in this build which makes it about 80% accurate, successful. But if we look at this, so round one is Sweeping Retribution and then don't use. Sweeping Retribution opener, don't use Time Compression or Sweeping Retribution. And then we want to use Time Compression as our opener. You don't really need to specify this. He will always Time Compression as the opener, but it's just for safety's sake. He's crit capped and he's got crit damage of 100, 105, so he does quite a bit of damage. He's got War Master as well. Allure, both of them are built exactly the same with Giant Slayer masteries, but they're effectively the AI is as follows. Nothing on round one. Specify not to use Temptation at the start of round two. And then you open with Temptation on round three in order to clear the wave of themselves. Crucial bit with Dark Fae, just in case anybody's kind of curious, is accuracy for all your champions needs to be higher than your resist. Typically you want a turn meter control team that's quite squishy. This is the ideal team that I could come up with from my account. However, the builds are not ideal. Allure with 235 speed and 484 accuracy. This is a good build. It could do with being 15 speed quicker, but it's a good build. This build is a destroy build. I use this for the Scarab boss, Scarab Lord. Round 1, 2 and 3 are exactly the same AI. Only 222 speed. They are both crit capped. And again, only 340 accuracy. So there is a risk here that this Allure may not always land its speed reduction. But from my experience, I've never seen the boss take a turn once it's all set up and running. And this is a sub 4 minute run in terms of the efficiency of killing this thing. Again, Allure and Giant Slayers, Deacon in War Master. Cold Heart is using, the AI is using nothing on the first turn, no specification. Don't use Art of Pain on round 2 because we want to open with it on round 3 in order to clear the wave. The speed of this guy is 168, so super slow, only 211 accuracy. He's not in here at all to be... He's not in here at all to be reducing the turn meter of the boss. If I could get him another 100 accuracy, I absolutely would. But it just doesn't work. He's in a full Savage build. He's probably doing about 7 or 8% of the boss's health with each Heartseeker. Now, obviously, if you can get him up a little bit higher speed, I've done this again. This build with another shield set, Cold Heart, that I use for my Fire Knight runs. Again, the pace is really no different. That's about 220 speed. Cold Heart, but it's got a lower crit damage and it's got a lower it doesn't have Savage set either. And then my Sylar's at 400 accuracy, so lands all of her debuffs. Speed at 244, so just a touch slower than the Deacon, and she's kind of that's it for the build. In War Master, AI is nothing on round 1. Specified to open with Leaden Legs and then don't use, and then we don't want to use Toxic Cloud, there's no need, and then we just use Leaden Legs. She's effectively there for CC, and she does quite a bit of War Master damage on the boss. Again, you don't need to run War Master, so I've just respec'd this build to get the War Masters in for Deacon and Sylar. They were both previously in support builds, and both of them were... for example, my Deacon's low on accuracy. I could absolutely put him in Eagle Eye if I wanted to land that debuff, but he lands it regularly anyway, and he gets so many turns with his extra turn mechanic that it really doesn't matter too much. As I said, this is a sub 4 minute run. 3:42 is my best time, so let's just jump in. Okay, so just running through the build then, we see here we've got the Allures open as I've just shown you on the AI. The Deacon kind of runs through, does his abilities, dropping turn meter where we can. We're just continuously running through these guys. There is a small chance that something can get a turn because they're all red affinity, and therefore if your Allures constantly miss 4, 5, 6 times in a row from critting weak hits, then they can get a turn. But you'll see here that pretty much the team is quick enough to allow us to constantly get enough chance of getting critical hits to drop the turn meter. So the allures run through. You'll notice we get to the boss here in relatively just under 50 seconds. We drop the turn meter, apply the slow. The allures come in and do the big smacks. We get CC'd here. Now this is where there is a chance of wiping on this boss, and it's specifically to do with the fact that the fears go out. Now, because of the way the build is that you don't want high resist on your champions because you want your accuracy. You want your accuracy to have to be too high in order to be able to land your debuffs. You'll notice there that the boss always gets a turn, so you just need to make sure your guys are tanky enough to take one hit from the boss. Even on a crit, I believe it's about 28k is the sort of minimum health. I think actually my cold heart might be 27k. That I wouldn't go any lower than that. Ideally, you want to be hitting. This is not a crazy fast build. This is 245 speed is the fastest champion to be farming a sub 4 minute hardest, what has been labelled as the hardest level 120 Doom Tower boss. Of the three I can think of, the spider can be a bit time consuming, but doesn't need to be. There's plenty of builds out there for that, like a ninja solo build, for example, which now obviously uses the increased the HP burn on that. You've also got the Eternal Dragon, again probably the easiest of the three in terms of just killing. I suppose it's probably the quickest one to farm, or has historically been. I would say nothing's quicker than Dark Fey now. You'll see here we're 2 minutes 30 in. The boss is already below half health. You can see you're getting plenty of War Master procs. The boss's turn meter is never really accumulating too much. There's a lot of resisting coming from the Deacon, but again, his power here is not just to be enforcing the turn meter drop, but it's also bringing up your turn meter by 15% as a boost when you get that. There's a lot of champions that can do these roles. Like I said, the allures in my team are built just well enough to do this job. There's going to be plenty of people out there with better allures than this. Like I said, these are multi-purpose allures. I have a third one that's currently just a champion sat there. I don't think I'll ever build a third. The only champion I've got 3 of is my Cold Heart, and that's because they have such niche situations to be used in. But yeah, like I said, you can switch the Cold Heart out. I've used a Crutraxa. It wasn't any quicker, but the Crutraxa also wasn't in Savage Gear. So I might try re-gearing that Crutraxa, see if they're any quicker. But we're looking at here a just under 4 minute run. There you go, 3 minutes 40, and bang on consistent. We were 3 minutes 42 was our quickest run before this point. And you see here Cold Heart's contribution the majority of the damage. Everybody's contributing a decent chunk though, because of the masteries for Sylar and Deacon, and the allures obviously just do a level of damage anyway, with their Giant Slayer mastery procs. So if we just quickly run back through, as I said, we've got a 4 minute run there. It's about, like I said, 70 to 80% success rate. If I just go to the most recently used, so running through them, we've got Sylar, nothing special by any means, 8, 12, 12, not even fully geared out, it's broken sets. We've got, they are fully booked, all these champions, but they're not that hard to book. If you're at this stage in the game where you're farming Doom Tower, 120, stage 120 bosses, you should have enough epic books should have had enough epic books to gear these champions out. I mean, these are crucial champions in the majority of the game. They are really, if you pull these champions, I definitely advise building them even for other parts of the game. You notice here that we've got a really simple build for Sylar, improving her speed, improving the rate at which she places debuffs, and also we've got the War Master for the damage on the boss. This is my allure that's built with Destroy set. Again, like I said, 27k. I think Cold Heart. Actually, the Cold Heart's only 25k health, and the Cold Heart never dies when the boss hits it. So yeah, 25k health is more than enough. With 1,300, 1,400 defense. So yeah, really it's not a high requirement at all for this boss. Level 8 gear, level 12, fully booked out. masteries are as follows. This is the same for all of my Cold Hearts that I build. We've got a Deacon here, again, a bit better geared, but all of his artifacts aren't level 16, fully booked out. And then we've got, again, just a really simple build, helps him place extra debuffs and helps him do extra damage to the boss. And these guys, the masteries mean a lot in terms of going from a 5-minute run to a sub 4-minute run, but it's a minute. And actually, if you want the run to be more consistent and more accurate, then obviously get the Eagle Eye, do something along those lines, which is definitely going to be good. Like I said, the Allures are in the same build. This guy's in triple perception. That's why he's got decent accuracy, but he, like I said, poor speed. There's probably, there's a little bit more that can be glyphed into this. That's unglyphed. No speed at all on the chest plate. And then we've got only 1 speed roll on the banner. So that could easily be a 250 speed allure with an extra glyph and an extra piece with actual speed on it. And these are my allure builds. Again, nothing crazy. You've got 4 epics, which are good epics, and that most people would... 3 epics, actually, and 1 dupe epic. If you pull a Sylar, you pull a Deacon, you pull an Allure, chances are you're going to be building that champion anyway. They're worth booking out. The one thing to know about Allure is Allure doesn't need books. There's nothing that increases the chance of her dropping turn meter. It's just a nice to have. Those 2 don't even need booking. Deacon does need booking. You have to get this time compression down to a 3 turn. And also the sweeping retribution down to 3 turns is nice. It's good to have. I don't think the 7, 12, 13 books you need for Deacon is a waste. I would say if you can get the A2 and the A3 without booking the A1, great, but it's not necessary. And then the Cold Heart, obviously, rare books are a 10 a penny when you're at this point in the game. I can't remember the last time I was ever in a need for a rare book, and so that's obviously not a problem at all. Full Savage set build on the Cold Heart, 267% crit rate, but again, doesn't need to be a Cold Heart. I know there's a lot of people out there who are still waiting for a Cold Heart. I would say if you're probably at this point in the game, you've definitely got at least one, unless you're super unlucky. But I'm at 8 million player power now, and I've got about enough, enough stats here. I've got plenty of gear saved as on other champions that I haven't required. I haven't had to rebuild anything significantly, and again, not crazy at all. 245 is the fastest speed to be farming the end level Doom Tower boss on hard. Thank you very much for watching. I hope it's informative. I hope it's helped some people who potentially are getting to this stage in the game. And I've recently got to this point where I can clear a Doom Tower, but I haven't historically been able to farm great levels of gear. Obviously, the Griffin is normally the easiest one to farm for most accounts, because it's kind of just a survival HP burn kind of. If you go for a tanky ninja build, for example, you can do that. But this set is just fantastic. I mean, if we look at the set that the Dark Fae drops, bear me a moment. It really is one of the best sets in the game. There's nothing, it's Savage set, times 2. It's significantly better than the Savage set, because it adds 10% crit rate as well, and it also gives you the opportunity to be able to actually make gear that's Savage set. You can make this with glyphs. You can specify you want crit damage or crit rate or attack percentage or speed, these primary stats that we're looking for on Savage pieces, which are incredibly hard to farm. You've now got an opportunity to be able to farm really, really powerful gear sets that have the same effect as the Savage set. So again, like I said, I hope this helps. It's a super, super easy build. Nothing in here is crazy at all. And if you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments. Please like and subscribe if you like the content. I'll be producing more content on how to find your way and farm your way through Doom Tower, more endgame content, and kind of building out my account now to get to a point where we can actually start to farm harder bosses in Doom Tower, use some of these tactics that some of the best players in the game are using. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.